We are the Church of the Larger Fellowship, a Unitarian Universalist congregation with no geographical boundary, working toward creating a global spiritual community, rooted in profound love, which cultivates wonder, imagination, and the courage to act. Adapting to the COVID-19 pandemic has been difficult for many bricks and mortar congregations. Early on in the pandemic, we were in a unique position to assist many congregations with the transition. We hosted special episodes of The View, provided advice and counseling to religious professionals, and trained congregations for live streaming worship, all while providing robust online programming for our members. From worship to covenant groups, from classes to pastoral care, and from our monthly magazine to our letter writing ministry, we have found ways to build connection and community even through the screen. We have been a model for ministry on the margins, providing services for isolated Unitarian Universalists, becoming a spiritual lifeline for our members in prison, and investing in innovative ministry. We know better than anyone how deep and meaningful connections can be formed even from a distance. Unitarian Universalists have faced many challenges in these times, and we continue to persevere and to fight for justice and equity for all people, especially during moments of crisis. We are proud to be a leader in this faith movement, and we invite you to get involved in our ministry. We strive to be a place where anyone from anywhere can find spiritual refuge anytime they need it. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Larger Fellowship. We are so excited to bring you an all-new episode of The View. The View is a weekly Unitarian Universalist talk show discussing important faith-based topics from an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, and multicultural perspective. Every Thursday for the past 7 years, we have welcomed guests from every corner of the world. Our guests are writers, scholars, activists, and religious thought leaders who are shaping Unitarian Universalism and society for the 21st century and beyond. I hope today's show inspires you. Hope it builds your faith. Hope it gives you perspective to see the power of Unitarian Universalism at work in your life. Enjoy the message. Hi, I'm Aisha Hauser. Welcome to The View. I am in Seattle, Washington. I am very excited for today's show. We have a full house of just amazing, wonderful people. We will be talking to JeKaren Olaoya about her book, All the Pieces Fit. We also have Kiana Dene Perkins back with us. So I'm going to send this over to, did I say I'm in Seattle, Washington? I don't know anything. It's nice and sunny, so it's thrown me for a loop because it's usually great. Kiana Dene, how are you? Where are you? We've missed you. We love you.
Hi, it is good to be back on The View. So I am Kiana Dene Perkins. I am physically located in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is the unceded land of the Potawatomi people. And I am really excited to be here. It is a blistery like 35 today. So that's where we are in Michigan. I'm going to pass it to my friend Chris.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm so excited to be here with you all. And particularly this lineup is just, as my son would say, fire. So I am Christina Rivera. Pronouns coming to you from beautiful, sunny, cold Central Virginia. It was a mistake to come back home from my other home in Puerto Rico, but I'm here and I'm gonna I'm here and I'm queer and I'm just gonna try and deal with it. Michael, how you doing?
Good afternoon, everyone. Michael Tino coming to you from Peekskill, New York, a little bit north of New York City, on the land of the Kichwaw and Wappinger bands of the Lenape people. It is a bright, cold, all beautiful day here in New York, and I'm sending heat down your way to Virginia, Chris, because it's been warmer in New York recently than it has in the South and South Central United States. And life is okay. DC Fortune, how are you? Are you here? My little window says connection problems on DC, so he might be.
Oh no. Okay. Well, we will have DC back when their internet gets fixed. Okay. So we are so excited. We have a full show. One of the things I want to talk about today, before we get to JeKaren Olaoya, because what is exciting about what's happening in this country, can you all hear me? I heard something. Is that there's no predicting anymore what's going on politically, right? So I just got Adrienne Marie Brown's new book, and she can only be as amazing, almost as amazing as JeKaren Olaoya. What we need to continue to do is center liberation and love, right? And so I want to ask Kiana Dene and JeKaren to talk about your perspectives. Now, JeKaren, you're in Georgia, where Stacey Abrams again got screwed out of governorship. So I want to bring on JeKaren and Kiana Dene to just give their reflections. And Michigan, again, stayed strong, and all powerhouse females who got elected. So I want to hear your perspectives on where you are. Gretchen pulled it out. Gretchen, I think, has a rap song named after her. So Kiana, do you all hear me? Come on in. Come on in. So my internet's being wonky, so I can't tell.
Oh no, it's all right. So I'll just speak up first, because you just talked about Michigan. Gretchen has been our governor, I believe, for this is her second. She's going into her second term. She's really kept to the things that she said she would do. She's been on point, and we were able to revert our abortion access back to what it was pre Roe v. Wade being taken away. So Proposition 3, I get it. It's like fiction and nonfiction. I can't remember if it's proposed and it was passed and not passed. All I know is that if folks want access in Michigan, they have it, and it's been restored. And so there's a lot of joy in that. The work is just starting, though. If you live anywhere and the things voted the way you wanted, it still means there's work. The work just shifted to a new agenda of making those things now real and tangible. So it's been a feisty little political season. How are you doing down there, JeKaren, in Macon?
Hi. So the thing that I keep reminding myself is that the win isn't always in that final result. Georgia has been able to make a major shift over the past 4 years, and especially in this past election. And yes, Stacey did not win, but also I feel like more people have been turning out to vote. They know how important it is. And so there are all these like little successes along the way that I think we should definitely celebrate.
And I think we have DC back to say hello to everyone. DC.
Hey folks. Hey friends. My connection had the hiccups or something. I don't know what happened. But I am DC Fortune. I am here in the beautiful Susquehanna Valley of central Pennsylvania, where it is cold and bleh, but it's not snowing, and so that's good. Yeah, I'm excited to be here today. I've been hearing so much about JeKaren I've never had a chance to meet, so I'm excited for today's conversation.
So I think one of the things, please, always, Kiana Dene.
You know, we talked, but we didn't introduce JeKaren. We just let her start talking about politics, and I think she's worth giving a point to. So JeKaren, I mean, I could say a lot of things about JeKaren, but I think the thing I want to just throw in the fire right this moment is that if there's a creative fiber running through something, JeKaren is going to grab it and make a sweater, right? Like, so if there's a creative energy around poetry and the art that she created, she's not just going to make a page and like hang it on her fridge. She's going to make a book. If JeKaren is excited about something and puts passion and energy towards it, it is only going to grow into this hearth style fire where everybody gets to grow and be warmed by it. So I will let JeKaren introduce themselves and all of their many titles and ways they're in connection with you and the world and themselves. But just know that we are being really blessed today to have JeKaren here to share one of her magic strings that she was able to pull and make not just a poem, but a poetry book.
Oh my goodness, nobody can hype you up like your BFF. Like, can anybody else relate? I don't even think there's anything else I can say. Thank you, Kiana, today. Honestly, in thinking about the creation of this book, this was a promise, and I didn't get to fulfill it as soon as I wanted to, but I did it, and I'm really excited to be able to share this promise with the world. I do say world because apparently someone in Spain bought my book, so if that tells you anything.
Folks, so you're in seminary and you're also doing an internship. Can you tell folks where you are in the world that way, just so that they can kind of orientate to your magic?
Oh my goodness. So having to talk about all the things that I'm doing makes people exhausted, but I'll go down the list. So I'm currently a student at Star King School for the Ministry. I'm in the chaplaincy concentration program. I also serve as a learning fellow for the CLF, which is amazing. And what else do I do? I serve on the board of trustees for the UUA, and I'm also a communications consultant for Leslie Matt Consulting. So I do lots of things all over the place.
I can't believe we forgot to announce the biggest news in UUism right now.
Oh yeah, there's that.
I'm sorry, DC. We forgot to announce that Reverend Dr. Sophia Bancourt has been announced as the nominee for UUA president. That's kind of a big deal. It was announced
It's kind
this
of a big
week.
deal.
I was
So
definitely gonna. Yeah, I think we were gonna get that.
I'm like, oh, I totally forgot. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, huh. Anyway, yeah, sorry, forgot.
And
So
you know,
I
can
say,
It's all over the place. We're scrambled eggs this morning.
JeKaren, I was just remarking that when I went through seminary, I had everything I could do to remember to brush my teeth in the morning. Never mind serve on all that other stuff and write a book and do all this. Like, what? Like, do you have minions or something? Tell me you have minions, house elves, something to help you do all that stuff.
I wish. So here's the thing, and I'm going to be really, really honest with you. Anytime that you have a full plate, there's always something that can't fit. So right now, like, you should see my dishes in the sink, right? Like, you should see my laundry pile, right? Those are the things. I mean, I'm not a fan of cleaning, so of course those are the first things to go. But the things that fill me up, like I prioritize my time to make sure that I make time for it. Oh, I forgot one really important thing that I do. So I'm also the communications coordinator for Beloved Conversations, and so that's one more to add. I knew I was forgetting something. But I have a full schedule, but I love it. I've never been happier in being able to show up in lots of different ways in the world. And it makes me happy, and it exhausts some people, but for me, it gives me energy.
God bless you, friend. God bless you. Oh my goodness. So We've got Trans Day of something coming up, don't we? Are we talking about
do.
that?
On Sunday? Yep.
Mm.
The Transgender Day of Remembrance, which some people are now calling the Transgender Day of Resilience.
You know, I am so tired
One
of
of
being
the things that
resilient.
it is worthy of a conversation. I am not a trans identified person, and I'm not speaking for trans folks. I do want to say I learned about the day as the Trans Day of Remembrance. And 2 years ago on this show, somebody lovingly called me in and reminded me they said, if you're going to celebrate Trans Day of Remembrance, you also have to celebrate Trans Day of Excellence and Resilience. That's in March 30th. And since then, I am been very mindful. I will change my language if I need to, but very mindful to acknowledge the spectrum of life and experience of trans-identified people that is not just centered around death, but also life and contribution and beauty. And I step into that every time I get the opportunity when I acknowledge my trans siblings. So Sunday is not a happy day, but by all means, it is a day to acknowledge those that we have lost. And then it is a time that we can embrace and step into honoring those folks who are still here and who are still providing us their beauty and their excellence all year round. So I just want to make sure Sunday is held in the respect that it deserves.
Yeah, and if people are not familiar with the Transgender Day of Remembrance, it is a day in which those transgender people who were killed as a result of transphobic violence all around the world are remembered and named. And that list is frighteningly long every year. It's 300 something names this year of people all around the world who were victims of fatal transphobic violence. And so it is a somber commemoration. It is a heavy day. And it does need to be balanced out with joy and beauty and life and vibrancy, and maybe on a different day. It's okay.
And I think it's interesting that there is, the movement to call this day both remembrance and resilience, because I think, DC just said it, you get tired of being resilient, right? And it is, there's so much in our society that just wants to move away from facts that are painful and just want to get to, that pain is going to make you better or somehow make you stronger or whatever. And I think that
goddamn Augustine.
that it's just a symptom of our inability to deal with the fact that we are murdering trans folks, that particularly trans folks of color, and that even when we take a moment to just sit in that pain, to just be in that space, there's this almost reaction, just want to deny it, right, and just move on. And I'm very glad that the Trans Day of Excellence has been instituted in the spring, but I do think that there is moments, and there should be moments, for us to bear witness to to the evil in the world, to the ugliness that is also part of what we have to fight liberation for.
Well, and it's interesting to me, resilience is not a celebratory thing, right? It is not only something that makes us tired, but it makes us tired because it's necessary, right? Resilience is every day getting up and facing the transphobia in society, which might or might not kill you, and that's heavy too.
Yeah.
So I don't. Even if we use the word resilience. I don't want to pretend that that's some light, happy, and everything. Like that's like
Right.
Resilience most of the time is a product of survival, right? Like
Yeah.
I resolved
Right.
to not die because you tried to kill me.
Right. Right.
I beat the odds. And there's I've always been called a resilient, child. When I remember being younger, they actually wrote an article in the Minneapolis Star Tribune about me. That's a whole nother Oprah. But about me being resilient. And I didn't understand it at the time. But now that I'm 45, I realize it wasn't that I had a magical power or that I had something in this mixture that like made me better than other people.
You just refused to die.
And I refused to die. And I found a
Yeah.
way to thrive outside of the context of pain. So, I mean, there's a moment to acknowledge that too. I don't know if resilient is the best word. And there's space to acknowledge my actual thriving. There's thriving because I didn't want to die. And there's thriving because I've mobilized my world, my resources, and my time in a way where I am growing. Where when I'm sometimes hear about the word resilience, I hear, aren't you glad I didn't die? And that's different than thriving.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like the common, the way I hear resilience described reminds me very much of a very Augustinian sort of lens of suffering, which is, suffering brings us closer to God, right? And it makes you stronger. And that's just such bullshit, toxic theology. Like, oh man, Augustine was just, dude had issues.
I believe the official statement of the View on that theology is "fuck that."
Yes. Right. Yes.
So
yes.
I don't know about y'all, but art, I don't know about y'all, but art is what I lean into in these times. And so I want to call in Miss JeKaren. Is there a poem in your book that we could open the floor with? Can I start? I'm going to start with "I Want to Be." And if you haven't found this book, there's a link. There's all the goodness. I don't know about y'all copy, but mine is signed. So let's start with "I Want to Be."
So is mine.
But how come I didn't get
Can
one?
we get a picture? Let's all do it. Let's get a snapshot of that. Chris, put yours back up.
I ain't got one.
Tanner, this is where you
Well,
click
the
the
good
screen and
news
take a pic.
is DC Fortune is that we have the link for you to get one and get it signed.
Right, I see that.
And it is going to be in the chat. It's going to be all over the show notes for this show. You all, by the end of this show, will want to be signing up to get yours.
I want to be soft as the hair on a rabbit who scampers and preens on occasion, soft and supple. I want to give graceful under pressure. JeKaren, how are you using art to get through these intense days between elections and Trans Day of Remembrance and National Native Heritage Month? How are you using art as a tool to liberate?
I think for me, it's in the sharing of the art. I mean, I can sit and I can just write and write and write, and then I close my notebook and move on. But there's so much beauty in sharing and connecting with others through art that feeds my soul and gives me the strength to keep trying, to keep going. I love that you chose this poem to read aloud because I remember when I was writing it and I was like, wait, no, I'm supposed to be hard and strong, and society tells me that I have to endure. That is my birthright, right? And the answer is actually no, it's not. It doesn't have to be, right? I can be soft. I can be delicate. I can. It's okay for me to find joy in that softness. And so that the ability to create art and share with people and have them find meaning in that work gives me so much joy.
I want to know your dog's name.
So in the background, you hear Macy Moon, who is about 10 years old and likes to bark at the elevator. She's a schnauzer mix.
JeKaren, I
The
know
fiercest of the fierce.
JeKaren, I know your book is self-published. Can you talk a little bit about that experience to go from the idea of, actually, I'm going to back it up. I'm going to call you out. What's the promise? Can you share the promise that you made? And then what your process was around getting your book created?
Yes, I can.
You brought it up. I'm just saying.
So this is the hard thing about your BFF being on the show. They know all the things, right? So in 2020, one of my goals right after the pandemic hit was that I promised my other best friend, Matthew P. Taylor, that I would write a book. And I had this huge file full of poetry and writings that I only shared with my friends. And they said to me, "Well, what are you going to do with all of those?" And I was like, "Nothing." They're like, "What?" They're like, "No, you need to publish these. You need to put them together." And I said to them, "No, nobody wants to read this. This isn't anything anybody really needs." And they were just like, "No, we're not going to do that. You're going to write this book, and you're going to promise me that you're going to do this within the next year." And so I said, "Fine, okay, I've got a whole year to do this." And so I ramped up my writing. I found new inspiration, and they died in December of 2021. And so I stopped writing. I couldn't. And I remembered one day that I promised them that I would publish my work. And I said, "Oh, well, I kind of have to, and I need to do it before the first anniversary of their death," right? I'd already made that promise. So I did. And I decided to go self publishing because, y'all, I'm lazy. I didn't want to shop it around. I really wanted to have control over. What was that?
I need to chew up with JeKaren here just for a second. Time out. JeKaren, friend, love of my life. You cannot call yourself lazy, dude. Did you just hear that full recitation
But here's the
of
thing.
things that you were doing at the beginning, at the top of this hour? All right, I'm not going to interrupt you. You keep going, but I'm
my professional response to that is what the actual fuck? Yeah, no.
We love you.
No. Here's the thing. So I love you. No. So here's the thing. So when you're publishing a book, you're shopping it around to lots of publishers. It takes a lot of follow up. It takes a lot of waiting. You may get a rejection letter, you may not. And so there's a lot of work in shopping around and getting people to see your vision and the love that you poured into it. And so I decided that for this book, I would publish it myself so that I could kind of eliminate the middleman of going through that process. And also because I wanted my hand to be in every part of it. So I designed the cover, I did all of the formatting, all of the art pieces, collage pieces are original. I had to teach myself how to use all of the different formats for publishing through Kindle, which is the easiest way to go. And so this process was not easy. It took me about 2 months to do everything from start to finish. And then I had to promote it myself, right? So I had to bug my friends and family and say, "Hey, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book." And I had to find, cute ways to use my art in order to make custom bookmarks and recycling some of the art prints into bookmarks. And so the process, while it did take longer and it was more work, it also gives me such pride to be able to see and hold something that means so much to me.
Stepping into that question, it was kind of a loaded one, but I felt like the story was worth telling.
Can we
Always.
take a moment to talk about the visual art that's woven through it? Because
Yes,
I
I was
think
literally
we
thinking the
noted
same thing, Michael.
we noted at the beginning that it was it's all the pieces fit. It's labeled collage poems, and if you open up to any page, the poems are interspersed with magnificent collages, and it's more than just words. I mean, the words are gorgeous, and I have my bookmark here on my favorite poem of the moment, which changes every time I read the book. And when I say that, I've read the book several times, and like the bookmark moves to what my favorite thing is. But how did you come to the place where you not only wanted to put your words out to the world, but also your visual art and meld them into something coherent?
Almost all of my ideas come from like off the wall conversations with my friends, and I can't remember which friend, and they'll tell me later. But I said to them, I want to make my words stand out, and I can't figure out how to do it. And they laughed at me. They were like, "Don't you like create art? Like, why can't you create art? Like, why don't you throw a couple of pieces of art in your poetry book?" And I was like, wait, what if I created a collage for every poem? And they were like, I did not say that. That's too much. But I did it anyway. And so every poem has a collage that goes along with it. The process for building these collages mostly are digital, and for pieces that I couldn't find that were already digitized, I would create them by hand and then scan them in to be used and layered into art, into the art pieces that I wanted. So you'll see lots of landscapes. Like, I love landscapes. I love art. I love creating landscapes. And so you'll see lots of mountains. But also sometimes, like, I was just feeling, wild. And so you'll see random, like, abstract things that are also in here. But each one was created specifically for the particular poem. And and as you read them, you can probably see some elements that may be pulled in. And if there's one in particular that you'd like, I'll tell you about it.
Yes, there is.
No one has ever said, page 26. Oh,
we're all like, we all want to. We're all in it. You go, Aisha. Yes.
Page 26. No one has ever, and I was so pleasant. I didn't realize about the collages till I got the book, and it was just a beautiful extra gift, even on top of. And I believe your book is in the 5th printing. Am I right? It keeps selling out, right, JeKaren?
Yes, I've had to. So I just got the 5th box of books, and because I'm hand signing them and including a bookmark, it's taking a while. But yeah, I just got the 5th box in, and at some point I'm going to stop and just send people to Amazon because it's a lot of work.
And the link that we have in our show notes is the Amazon link, right? So you will get it directly from Kindle Direct Publishing, right? If you order it from there.
Aisha, did you want to read No One Ever Said on page 26? You mentioned it. Were you calling out the art or the poem?
I will read it.
Okay. I was ready. I'm such a student.
The art is beautiful.
I know. I am too. I'm like, let's do it.
No one. Okay, here we go, by JeKaren Olaoya. No one has ever said that blueberries at their peak, deep blue, mostly purple, hazy and fresh, skin taut round, could heal a broken heart. Each bite juicy, filling in all the cracks and releasing the tightness around the heart. I know heartbreak at the loss of freedom, betrayal of the heart, cold of a new morning or setting sun. I know the moon does its best to illuminate and strengthen the energy of the night. But I also know how it feels standing at the kitchen sink, rinsing fresh blueberries, picking out the too soft, too wrinkled bits, discarding and dreaming, wondering if it is enough. I know that there is fun in popping blueberries one by one into your mouth to feel the crisp rush one by one. I know that sometimes there is no capacity to play and hungry to be sated, so a handful at a time is necessary. One burst of juice blending into another, indistinguishable, filling, instant gratification. The heart knows which it needs. And when we give ourselves over to desire and need, our hearts take over and decide. What happens after our hand reaches out? Are you afraid to see what you need in this moment? Are you prepared to accept that every moment with a bowl full of blueberries, deep blue, mostly purple, will give you just enough to heal? Whew. Friend.
My bookmark has
Did I
spent some
write
time on
that?
that page.
You wrote that. You did that. You wrote that. You wrote that. You made it. You touched my soul, friend.
The way you described the blueberry in the beginning, this sense of dark, deep blue, mostly purple, hazy and fresh, skin taut, round. Just, I mean, I can like literally like I'm salivating from the description of that blueberry. And then to bring it into heartbreak, I wasn't ready.
Yeah, it's really
Wasn't ready.
so beautiful and rich. I mean, the sensory, picking the wrinkled ones out before you start popping the juicy ones in your mouth. It's just like there's so much there. It's just so every line is so beautiful.
So can I put JeKaren? I have a feeling, like if I remember correctly, you are giving folks space to also create their own collage art coming up in a few weeks, an opportunity to be in space with you. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think your art is beautiful, but I think created in this really organic way where you have space and it gives other people space. And I know you're extending that reach. So can you talk a little bit about that opportunity if folks are ready to lean into to start building their own collage collection?
Yeah, I mean, I do this so that we can do this, right? Like, this is just an example of where I've been in the past 2 years. But I'm not the only one, right, who has suffered heartbreak, who suffered grief, who has found joy and love and passion and all those things, right? And so I created these art spaces so that people have an hour a week just to like really sit with something that's important to them. In the past, I've hosted them as just open art spaces, and so people are able to just come in, bring whatever they want, and just sit with other people while they do their art. Starting in January, on January 9th, and we'll host it twice a week. And I say me, I'll host it twice a week. And we'll have themes, and people will be able to come in and use any medium they want to express the theme that comes up. And so we'll have conversation about what the particular theme means to us, what the work looks like, and also having space to like dig in. For example, the first one on January 9th and the 11th, the theme is called Out of the Darkness. And basically, we're coming out of winter in the Northern Hemisphere. And so, what would it be like for us to embrace the darkness? What beauty can come out of that we never really imagined? And so, I want people to have an opportunity to be able to explore what that looks like, whether it's with painting or drawing or poetry or writing or knitting, like whatever it is. There are ways to incorporate this theme into your art, and it makes me really excited to be able to have spaces for people. Every time I host one, people come back and say, that was the first time I actually got to sit still in the past year. That was the first time I actually got to do something for myself in this pandemic. This was the first time that I realized how much this means to me. And so I want to keep creating those spaces. So I'm going to do it Monday and Wednesday. We'll share information in the chat with the specific dates and how to get signed up. But yeah, I want to create those spaces for other people.
Aisha was talking about in the beginning. How do we engage liberation always? How do we center liberation? And I think some of that work starts with being able to know who we are and know what our needs are. Aisha, can you talk a little bit more about liberation and why you brought it up in the beginning, or which bus were you trying to put us on?
So what my train of thought was actually about the results of the election and lessons learned from we need to stop listening to polling, which is just money-making endeavors and not really about accuracy, and the fact that Gen Z really did cancel out every boomer vote. And this is not about being ageist. It's about realizing that folks who are younger than everyone on this panel and Gen Zs are gonna inherit the world that's a mess right now. It's a mess in a lot of ways, and there's existential crisis after existential crisis for humanity. And one of the things that's been for me just a source of nourishment, spiritual nourishment, is looking to especially Black women, Black trans women. I was in the audience here in Seattle watching Ijeoma Oluo interview Sonia Renee Taylor. And it was there that Ijeoma said to Sonia, I didn't want to ask you about this, but it was when the leak of the Supreme Court decision of overturning Roe v. Wade and I hadn't heard about it. So it was the first, I'm like, what leak? I had no idea. And so she asked her about it, and Sonia Renee Taylor did not miss a beat and said, look, the system is not built for us. We thrive in spite of this system. That has been true since Harriet Tubman. And so it was a beautiful reminder at that moment to not give in to the system that wants to crush us all. So go on a journey with me. I'm taking the circuitous route to a point. JeKaren, you naming, like even using the word lazy is part of violent extractive capitalism. You obviously didn't do that intentionally. It's conditioning, right? There's no such thing as lazy. Not only because you have 18 jobs and wrote a book in the middle of it, in the middle of grieving, your soulmate's passing. I mean, let's put that aside, the reality of that. But it is our conditioning to constantly produce, because that keeps us from experiencing joy fully. It keeps us from revolution and paying attention. But the results of this last election, which did not meet any kind of historical precedent, thank you, Black Jesus, tells us is people are way more awake and paying attention than we thought. What?
A joke from Abbott Television. She always says, baby Jesus is a big one too.
And big one too, Black baby Jesus, Black big Jesus, all the Black Jesuses. And I think for Unitarian Universalism, because we are UU faith leaders, let's not follow any scripts. Let us embrace and understand that expanding our imaginations is crucial to realizing liberation. Because again, people who want to do harm, who are mean and terrible, who are attacking trans children and Black children, Indigenous children, and caging children, they have no end. There's no end to their imagination of causing harm. I've always said, so we The people who want a better world, a world without oppression, need to expand our own imaginations and know that's within our reach. It is within our reach to have a kinder society. And I think that's the bus I wanted to get to. So thank you for JeKaren for producing something that, you know, it moved me. Like, I was reading that poem. I went through a divorce of a very long marriage, and I was thinking of the heartbreak, even if I did want it, but it's still heartbreaking. You know, you touched my soul. And so joy is an act of liberation. Resistance. Joy is an act of resistance. Joy is an act of liberation too. I'm making shit up as I'm talking, but joy is an act of resistance did not come from me, and I need to Google who first said it. Was it Adrienne Marie Brown? I don't know. So everybody else chime in. I mean, I want us to remember that, as James Baldwin said, I always, whenever I say James Baldwin, I think of Kimberly Hampton, rest in power, our friend, used to say, Brother James. And Brother James would say, I can't be a pessimist because I'm alive. And I choose joy as resistance, as a way to bond with my people. So thank you all for being my people. JeKaren, what's your favorite poem? Does it change? Are they all your favorite? I want to know what JeKaren's favorite poem is.
I can't pick a favorite. You know, I have one that so I have one that I'm reading right now, and it's called Scars. It's on page 15. Scars are proof that life has moved forward, has either hurt or healed, changed. There's strength there in the space between, where the skin knits itself together. The power of what we can't see easily gives us strength we didn't know we had. There is beauty there where the healing happens. It seems angry like fire, but it is life, eager to be repaired. There's no brokenness, though fragile. Our skin is strong enough to break only under extreme pressure, and we are mostly okay after. Scars don't take away from or make us less. It's okay to be afraid to show them. But no, you will always be worthy and free to be whole, no matter how many scars grace your body in service to who you are.
I think you just made Aisha cry. That was beautiful. Thank you.
As beautiful as that was, I'm going to tell you something that it just brought up in me that's like, my therapist is going to hear about this. I was like, I have a lot of open wounds and I don't have as many scars as I thought. Yeah. That's what came up. I've got work to do and I'm okay with that. Work is work, I'm good. But it just definitely, like, scars are a way to prove that you've moved on, are kind of evidence of that. I'm like, I got some shit I ain't moved on from. I got let go. I don't have a scar from it, right? So, like, I moved and I'm like, oh, that therapy list is starting to look like my grocery list. Okay. I'm gonna send you the bill, that therapy copay. I'm gonna send that your direction, JeKaren.
My therapist is so annoying. She writes down things I say. You break you by. I would say my therapist writes down things I say and then repeats it back to me. It's annoying as fuck. Like, I'm not into it. Like, shut up. Like, why are you trying to, like, remind me of things I say?
Oh. Michael, do you?
You know, there's so much. I was gonna say, there's so much beauty in knowing, like, where your edges are, right? Like, I feel like it's so easy for us to pretend like we don't have any, and then to encounter something that lets you see all of you and still find love in that, right? Still find beauty and joy in that. My therapy list, it looks like a grocery list, and like, I've also had to find a way to love everything on that list, even the things that make me uncomfortable.
Love
Michael,
everything on that list. Amen and Ashe.
Michael, do you have a favorite poem of the moment?
I have a favorite poem of the moment, and again, I admit that I read the book and the bookmark shifts back and forth. So I'm gonna read the one that currently is holding my bookmark, and it's entitled "They Insist," and it's on page 23. They insist strength is stone, hard, fortified protection. Stone is a fortress, unfailing, the only way to make it. We pick them up, heavy, dusty, and hurl them for kicks, skips across water that conceals, and they sink below the surface. We want stones, smooth, handheld, not realizing they are battered, storm worn, with licks of water wearing them down. The jagged rocks, they stay, they need more time, but they have not been rounded. Sharpness keeps, and it doesn't matter. It's not who you are. Pressure bruises and blood pools into all of the in between. Soft animal. You weren't made to be tossed deliberately, though you endure, though you stand up each time you fall to your knees, soft, warm, not stone, breakable, but mostly resilient.
Mm.
That's where my bookmark is right now.
Yeah. Wow.
But again, it moves.
What about the name of the book, JeKaren? All the pieces fit. How did you come to that name?
So anytime I'm working on a physical collage, so I mostly do digital collage, but every once in a while when I need my hands to feel the glue and the paper and the fabric, I make a physical collage. And I was working on one, and I kept thinking, oh, like this doesn't fit. Like this particular piece won't fit the way that I want to. And so I ripped it in half and I made it fit. And I was like, oh, all the pieces do fit. Like it's like all of this, every poem, every collage, every single page is part of a a collection that I curated, but also it's not in any particular order. You don't have to like there's no underlying theme through it. Um but they all fit together. Like it's all about this experience of living and loving and finding joy and grieving and finding hope and and all those pieces fit together to make us who we are. And so that's how I got to the title.
So it's getting to be that magical hour
You're so brilliant.
Absolutely. JeKaren is brilliance is like her morning mode. That's what she is in the morning. That's how she wake up, right? So as we lead into this last part of the hour, I want to make sure shamelessly that your plugs get plugged so that folks know where they can buy your book, and folks know how they can engage you in the art space. And then can we share December 10th, JeKaren? Can we share that with people? So JeKaren, I'm going to share something, and then JeKaren can talk about all that good stuff before we do that final circle around the team. JeKaren and I talked the other day. We're BFFs. I don't know if y'all caught that. And we wanted to find a way to honor our friend, our sibling, not just a friend, a sibling, Matthew, who passed away in December of last year. And if you ever got to be in space with Matthew, they were like, for me, they were this amazing musical DJ. They introduced me to music I had never listened to or wouldn't have, and just always had a song at the ready. Like, oh, we doing this? Boom, here's a song. Oop, this is happening. Here's a song. And so we are having a dance party on December 10th. Find us online. We'll give you the link. And we're just asking folks to come with your whole heart, ready to dance. And we are, it's the 9th. Good, because I don't know numbers, not in charge of numbers in any way, shape, or form. And we're just asking people to come in their crow finest. And so for me, I bought my first church hat, and I'm very proud of it. I'm not going to show it off, but I have my first black feather church hat. And when that bad boy is on, you can't tell me it. Okay, there's a 2-week wait for when I'm in my crow hat. So we hope that you can join us. But I want to flip the floor over to Ms. JeKaren to make sure that we know how to stay in contact with all of the pieces that fit and how we can continue to support art in our communities as a form of liberation.
Thank you, thank you. So yes, Matthew loved Beyonce, and so when her newest album came out, I was like, we have to have a dance party. Like, if they didn't get to hear it, and so we have to play it so they can. So how to find me? So my book is available on Amazon. You can search my name or just the title, All the Pieces Fit. And it looks like this with blue and yellow, so you'll know exactly that you found the right one. And we'll also be sharing links to sign up for the Creative Art Space. So if you sign up before January 1st, is pay what you'd like. So you pay whatever you want. After that, we'll have a set fee for a monthly gathering. So you'll pay for each week, a month at a time. So get it now so that you can pay me $20 and you get 4 classes. I mean, I think that's amazing. And then also in the summertime, I'll be hosting a spiritual art retreat. It'll be a 3-day hybrid in-person and online retreat. You can also find more information about that at the same page. But all of my offerings are pretty much going to be on my page at Ko-fi. So it's ko-fi.com/JeKaren. And I will also put that in the show notes and links, and you can find all the things. And if you're wanting to engage in art in your community, there's so many opportunities to engage. Like here in Macon, Georgia, it's a tiny little town, but we're known for art. And so there are always opportunities to take art classes. I mean, there's a glass blowing studio just 2 blocks away. There's a clay studio that's 1 block this way. So look out into your community and find ways of plugging in to the art around you, and let that liberate you. Let that space creativity give you what you need in order to thrive.
Wow. Awesome.
Wow. We have 2 more minutes. Anyone else have something on their heart they want to share? Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, JeKaren. We will be sharing the link to everything JeKaren just named. This was, I always love being on The View, and when many of your BFFs are on, it's just a really impactful, beautiful, engaging time. So thank you all for the gifts that you all bring, and thank you, JeKaren, for this extraordinary book. And it's going to be in its 10th, 12th, 20th printing by the time we get to January 1, 2023. So buy this book. It's amazing.
Amazon will make as many
it will
as
enrich
you
your
order.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Amazon will make
and
as
I
many
hope you
as
get
you order.
I don't know how self-publishing works, but I hope you make a lot. I hope you make almost all of this what they're charging. So thank you all.
No,
Have
that's
a
actually
wonderful
how that
week,
works.
and we will see you next. Is it?
Next week is
No, we're not going to see you next week because it's Thanksgiving. 2 weeks.
Right. 2 weeks.
The fake whitewashed holiday. It is the day of mourning for Indigenous people. So in two weeks, we will be back on The View. So,
all right.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
remembering
Be well, everybody.
that we are on stolen land. So,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
thank you for joining us. Special thanks to those of you who give generously to this ministry. It is because of you that this ministry is possible. You can click the link in the description to give now, or visit clfuu.org/give for more information. We hope you will join us next week for another episode of The View.